All right, I'm going over the IXL for Z1 solving equations using the square root method. This is super, super easy. So all I'm doing is taking the square root. So if I have f squared equals 25, I'm taking the square root of both sides. So that's going to give me f is equal to plus or minus. The square root of 25 is 5. So my answer choices here would be at -5 and +5. It is that easy. I'm going to go up a level just to talk about some more challenging problems. So this problem here, we need to, in order to solve by using the square root method, I need to have the constants on one side and the variable on the other. So in other words, I need to rewrite this equation to be m squared equals, since that's a negative 144, it becomes positive 144. I'm then going to take the square root of both sides. That's going to give me m is equal to plus or minus 12. Again, I'm going to remind you, you should memorize the first 12 perfect squares. It will really truly make your life much easier. I can easily recognize that 144 is the perfect square of 12, so I don't even have to do any math. Your brain is much faster than even being able to calculate it because you're not having to do the mental process of typing the numbers in and then taking the square root. So I do recommend that you memorize the first 12 perfect squares. So this is going to be -12 and +12. I'm going to go ahead and go up a level. So now we want to know how many real solutions this problem has. So we're looking at u squared and we're taking the square root of 0. There is one real solution in this situation. That's going to be well, let's see, hold on. Let me think about this one because that one's kind of an interesting one. Because if I do, let's see what happens when I put it in Desmos. That is kind of interesting. U squared equals 0. I'm going to say there's no solution because you can't really take the square root of 0. Because the square root of 0 is 0. So, okay. So the square root of 0 is 0. So if you take the square root of both sides, you're just going to have one real solution instead of two solutions. I had to think about that one. All right. So we're going to this is going to become z squared. Whoops. Oh, dang it. I hit the wrong button. I meant to go back up a level. I hit the wrong button. We were at level 3. Okay, there we go. Meant to grab the pencil. All right, so this is going to become n squared equals 71 minus 96. Now, I'm going to talk about this problem here because this has no solution because 71 minus 96 is going to give me a negative number. So n squared is equal to a negative number because 96 is higher than 71. So our answer when we calculate those is still going to be a negative. You cannot take a negative of a you cannot take the square root of a negative number. So this problem here has no real solutions. That means we are not going to cross the x-axis. All right, so you're doing the same thing. This one's going to have two real solutions because our 56 is positive. So you're going to, when you take the square root of 56, you're going to have a positive and a negative. All right, I'm going to go ahead and jump it up a level. All right, now here we're going to isolate k. So I need to move the 60 over. So this becomes 4k squared equals 76 minus 60. 76 minus 60 is going to give me 16. So this becomes 4k squared equals 16. We're going to divide both sides by the coefficient of k squared. So this gives me k squared equals 4. We're going to take the square root of both sides. That gives me plus or minus 2. So -2 and +2. That's all we're doing here is make sure that you are isolating the k value and moving all of your constants to the other side. here you would just divide by 36. That would give you, well, let me write on, nope, I have it selected. So I don't have to move anything. I'm just going to divide by the coefficient of 36. So that's j squared equals 1 over 36. That's going to be plus or minus 1/6 because 36 is the perfect square of 6. So this would be minus 1 over 6 and positive 1 over 6. All right, I'm going to jump it up one more level. That's just doing the same thing. Let's see, level 6. Again, we're just r squared is going to divide by 0 divided by 2. That's going to give you 0. Taking the square root of 0 is going to give you 0, so you have one real solution. So all you're doing on these is just isolating. So let's see, do this one. I don't know that there's any irrational ones. So that's going to become d squared equals 19 plus 62 gives me 81. We're going to divide by 9. That gives me d squared equals 9. And then that's going to be minus 3 and positive 3. So that's all you're doing on that one. All right, I'll see you in the next video.